Well, Damian Warner is Canada's Athlete of the Year. The Olympic champion has won the 2021 Lou Marsh Trophy. Now, Warner won gold in the decathlon this past summer in Tokyo, becoming the first Canadian to do so. The 32-year-old led in all 10 events and is just the fourth person to break the 9,000-point mark. He was then named Canada's flag bearer for the closing ceremony, but it was a strong year for a lot of other Canadian athletes too, and Warner faced some stiff competition for this achievement today. The 6 other Lou Marsh finalists were Andre DeGrasse, Maggie McNeil, Stephanie Lebay, Alfonso Davies, Connor McDavid, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. But Damian Warner came out on top, and the Olympic decathlon champion joins me now live in London, Ontario. Welcome to the program.
Yes, thanks for having me.
First and foremost, of course, congratulations on this achievement and this win. How did you get the news?
Yeah, so today I was at practice and I was warming up for my shot put today, and my coach and my manager and a couple others came over and shared a video from Damien Cox, and he was the one that kind of broke the news to me, and it's an incredible honor.
You know, it's been a strange year, to say the least, and of course it was a bizarre Olympics because of the pandemic, and even training for you was a very sort of strange process too. It was very unorthodox. So wondering if it means that much more to have achieved it, given that there were so many additional challenges along the way.
Yeah, I was having a conversation earlier today, and I was saying that going to the Olympics and having your best performance is something that I was looking forward to for a really long time. But I think under the circumstances that it happened and training in the arena and everything that followed, I think when I look back on it when I'm a little bit older, I think it's going to mean that much more, knowing that we persevered through all those hard circumstances. And it's a testament to the team that I have around me and the community that I have built here in London, Ontario.
You know, I have to say, I was watching your events, and when I watched you go over the hurdles with such ease, easier than I walked down the street, I was just so impressed. And I know that all of Canada was watching in that same level of awe, so it must mean a lot to be able to take this award, something that was awarded by the country that you represented so well in Tokyo. Now, of course, we also have to talk about the upcoming Beijing Games, and I'm sure you're aware of the news that there is a diplomatic boycott from this country, Canada, because of human rights abuses and concerns about them in China. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so I think that because of the situation that was happening in China, and by no means am I an expert of international relations or anything like that. But I think that there were steps that needed to be taken. And I think that the Olympic Committee took steps that were aligned with some other countries. And I can only speak from an athlete standpoint. I know that as I was preparing for the Tokyo Games, there was some doubt in my mind that the games were going to happen. And that made it really tough because I spent my whole life training for this one specific moment. And I've been able to train around some Winter Olympians, some that are preparing for the upcoming games. And I just know that their hard work was in doubt. They weren't necessarily sure if the games were going to be canceled or if they weren't going to go. But from an athlete standpoint, I'm extremely happy that they're going to be able to go there and represent their country, because I do think that there's a power in sport. And I do think that they can go over there and represent our country and make us all proud.
And now to another piece of news specifically about the award you received, which I'm sure you're aware of. We know that there's been growing criticism of the award being named after Lou Marsh, who has a history with racism and anti-Semitism. And some people have called for the trophy to be renamed. So what do you think of that? What are your thoughts on it all?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things where I don't necessarily want to villainize a man or attack a man that's not necessarily here in this day and age to defend himself. And I think that he definitely said some things that were not aligned with Canadian values, even at the time that they were said. And I know that growing up here in Canada, I've learned about so many great Canadians like Terry Fox, and the list goes on and on and on. And I think that it would be fitting, after the investigation, I believe, that is taking place, to name the award after someone who all Canadians can get behind. And I think Terry Fox would be a great recipient of that, because I know that I would, and I'm sure many other Canadian athletes that will be up and coming to win this award would be extremely proud to receive an award with his name on it. So I'm definitely behind the changing of the name, but I guess it's up to the committee and everybody else that's going to be doing the investigation to see if that's a necessary step.
And Damian, very finally, I do want to ask you if you have any advice that you can impart on all of those young kids who might be watching and looking up to you as this Canada's top athlete and your performance in the Olympic Games, and what sort of advice might you have for them?
Yeah, and I think this is why, my experience in sport is so important, and why I'm really happy that Canadian athletes are going to be able to go to the Beijing Olympics to compete, because when I was really young, I remember watching a Winter Olympian, Katrina Lemaydon, and I was sitting on the couch with my mom, and I told my mom that I want to go to the Olympics one day, and she told me that you can do anything you set your mind to. And luckily for me, I listened to her advice and set some pretty hefty goals. One was going to the Olympics and winning a gold medal, and luckily enough for me, I had some great people around me that supported me and made that a possibility. So that's something that I try to tell the kids, and I think that the athletes that are competing at the Beijing Olympics are going to do just the same. And I know that there's going to be so many young Canadians that are going to look after them and grow up to be the next Olympians and next role models for our communities.
Some inspirational and powerful words from you. Thank you so much for that, Damian, and congratulations again.
Yes, thank you.
Damian Warner is an Olympic decathlon champion, and he won this year's Lou Marsh Award Trophy. Thank you again for joining us tonight.